everybody, and I think ANC deserves each and everybody's vote. People should go and vote for ANC.
You can even when we do door to door, some of the people they used to tell us, okay, we don't like ANC party, we will vote ANC because of Nelson Mandela. I understand things like that. Yeah.
It's true that after 20 years in power, Madiba's party is no longer getting unconditional support. Social inequalities, corruption scandals have left their scars. To make sure Jacob Zuma is not booed again, as it's happened several times before, his supporters were selected carefully for a last rally before the elections. In the crowd, many were wearing Nelson Mandela's T-shirts and carrying his portraits.
The ANC has done a lot of things for us, so we feel that it's our responsibility to respect the late Mandela. That's why we're all here.
Before 60,000 activists rallied around him, Jacob Zuma launched a call for mobilization, confident of his track record and his victory on Wednesday.
There is a lot to be proud of about our beautiful country as we mark 20 years of freedom.
The outcome of the vote will not be a mystery. The ANC is expected to win these first elections without Nelson Mandela. But by what kind of a margin? That's the real challenge for the ANC. The party does not want to see its votes go below the 60% line.
Amid the mounting pressure to find and rescue 276 missing schoolgirls, Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan has solicited international support to stop the wave of attacks and kidnappings by the Islamist group Boko Haram. The militant organization has claimed responsibility for the mass abduction of girls at a boarding school 2 weeks ago. And a grenade attack in the Kenyan capital Nairobi killed at least 2 people and wounded 60 others on Sunday. For more of these and other stories, we turn to this CFI News.
Nigeria's President Goodluck Jonathan is calling on the United States, France, Britain and African neighbors to combat the Boko Haram sect. Goodluck Jonathan says he is counting on foreign support to help stop waves of attacks and kidnappings. 276 schoolgirls were kidnapped by Boko Haram on the 15th of April. According to Boko Haram's leader, the girls are slaves and they're being sold into marriage. A new wave of bombings has struck Kenya. At least 2 people were killed and over 60 wounded Sunday when bombs exploded in the capital Nairobi. Grenades were thrown at buses from the side of the road. This latest attack follows another earlier attack against a bus Saturday in Mombasa. The government suspects the Somali Shabab Islamists to be responsible for a number of attacks since Kenya sent troops to Somalia in 2011. The political situation remains extremely confused in Libya, where the parliament confirmed Ahmed Mitig as Prime Minister Monday. The appointment was immediately challenged by a number of deputies and the Vice President of the National Congress. Ahmed Mitig has been confirmed by 1 vote, but his nomination continues to be disputed. The new Prime Minister will attempt to form a cabinet which will be put to a vote of confidence over the next 15 days. Libya has been extremely unstable since Muammar Gaddafi was ousted 3 years ago. China's Prime Minister and his wife received a warm welcome from Ethiopia's President Sunday on their arrival in Addis Ababa. This is the first step of a tour of Africa for China's Prime Minister that will take him to Nigeria, Angola and Kenya. He will make a speech at the African Union's headquarters. China and Ethiopia have made a number of cultural, economic and technical partnership agreements.
According to news agencies, Ukraine's interior minister says several people died today in fighting at a checkpoint near the eastern city of Slavyansk and in Luhansk. Separatist leaders have declared a state of emergency and announced the formation of a southeast army. And in the south on Friday, 46 people were killed in street violence and a deadly fire at the Black Sea port city of Odessa. That prompted angry protests at a police station and the release of dozens of activists held inside. CNN's Phil Black has more on the conflict that now appears to be spreading.
Long way from the Russian border, but there have always been concerns about the possibility of the country's crisis flaring up here. It's a city with a large Russian-speaking population, strong historic and cultural links to Russia as well. But there's a key difference between here and the east of the country. In Odessa, you also have a large crowd of people who are regularly prepared to take to the streets in the name of Ukrainian unity. And it is that mix that in recent days has resulted in some of the worst violence Ukraine's crisis has seen. Most of this crowd just stood in the rain and screamed, demanding freedom for the pro-Russian activists held inside the police station. But others wanted to break them out. They desperately attacked the building, smashing whatever they could, and the crowd cheered them on. Eventually, they broke through into the station's inner courtyard. The police didn't try to stop them, but the crowd was offered a deal. Those detained would be released if everyone then went home. Rage suddenly replaced by joy. Public enemies of the Ukrainian government walked free. Their chant, all for one, one for all. Another victory for a violent crowd. Yet another humiliation for the country's police. These men are coming out of the building saying that all the cell doors have been thrown open. They're being greeted as heroes, as smiles, hugs. People are crying. It's all so different to what was happening here a few moments ago when this crowd was screaming, Odessa will never forgive, never forget. While these people celebrated the freedom of the living, another large gathering mourned the dead. This was outside the trade union building where pro-Russian and pro-Ukrainians clashed Friday. More than 40 were killed, mostly pro-Russians, as fire spread through the building. There was anger here too, but mostly grief. They cried openly for people they didn't know. The deaths here inspired Ukraine's interim prime minister to come to Odessa, pleading for national unity.
This is the wake-up call for the entire country, for reconciliation. We need to realize that Russians want to eliminate our country.
His message is a tough sell in a city where so many now believe people who speak Russian are being killed and arrested by forces loyal to the Ukrainian government. Among Ukrainian authorities, there are different versions about who actually gave the order to free those prisoners. No one is accepting responsibility, as there are different claims about who was responsible for Friday's violence. Ultimately, it is the legacy of these events that matter. Odessa is now a different city. Hearts here have hardened. There is greater bitterness, resentment, even hatred than there was just a few days ago. Phil Black, CNN, Odessa, southern Ukraine.
Welcome back, and it's now time for the sports news. Trust Bank Limited are the winners of the late Governor Famarajata Memorial Trophy. Trust Bank defeated Access Bank 5-4 in a dramatic post-match penalty shootout after the culmination of a thrilling final played at Faragov Mini Stadium. Momodu S. Jallo saw the bankers battle it out, and he now reports.
Trust Bank fans were delirious with joy after their team secured a hard-fought victory over Access Bank to win the prestigious late Governor Famarajata Trophy. The Interbanks football tournament is intended to promote a healthy working relationship amongst workers in the banking sector, as well as remember the late Famarajata, former governor of the Central Bank of the Gambia.
I think to have such a tournament to remember Famarajata in terms of what he has contributed to the development of this economy is not a small thing at all. But we are very proud, as bankers, as citizens of this country, to be involved in this tournament.
After several weeks of intense competition among the different banks in the country, Trust Bank and Access Bank reached the final to contest the giant trophy called the Governor's Trophy. With most of their time spent on financial dealings, this was a rare moment for the bankers to come together, interact and have fun. Supporters of the two banks came out in full force to cheer up their respective teams. Trust Bank edged past Sky Bank with a 4-2 penalty